I ask you not to go over your 5 minutes for this item.
I know the rules.
Very good.
And if I don't, nobody does. Yes, I do know the rules, and I'm here to speak about budget. But before I get on to that, which is very, very brief, I am a little bit worried. Have you folks been getting my emails? The ones that say the other side, book one, book two? Oh, all right. So,
I have, Ms. Hoadley.
well, I'll tell you, I've spent a certain amount of time doing my research. Thomas Bell has given me the information that I needed in several cases. My own little telephone works just fine, my own personal experience. I even spent a lot of time talking to Jack about whether it's appropriate to put the state and local education taxes together. I think it's a misrepresentation if the state has gone down, but you don't want to do it if the state has gone up. So why don't you just don't do it? And then you can't be accused of anything. Okay, but I'm here to talk tonight about something that's going to surprise you. I'm going to be talking to you about how to establish an atmosphere. I'm not going to even say one number, not one, and that's very rare for me. So, folks, I liked what I heard in the previous half hour. I hear people being really, really cognizant of the taxpayers' problem. And I need to remind you, this is my 62nd year of paying residential taxes. Now, some of you aren't even that old, so I've been paying taxes for a very long time. Yes, I know who you are, most of you. Now, the next thing is, I wonder if you could possibly concentrate on this budget and probably even the next two, to establish an atmosphere where students have a calm, safe environment to focus on their learning. I'm saying let the teachers teach and let the students catch up. Let them feel safe, let them feel comfortable. Get so you will have an idea of what the new normal is. And this sort of atmosphere does not ask for a whole lot of additional support. The people are there. The teachers are there. It's not a negotiations year. There are so many things in your favor. So everybody take a deep breath. Step back a little bit. Think about the kids. That's the really biggest thing you need to think about, is what's happened to them in the last 3 years. And for heaven's sakes, give them 3 years to recover, especially the kindergarten kids. So every single group needs time to take a breath, just step back, relax, let the teachers go in, close their door if they want to, let the teachers teach, and let the students catch up. I plead you, I know that you can do this, and I'm hearing support for this kind of thing before I even got here. And then when I got here and heard it, I can't thank you enough for having that mindset as you go through the budget. But don't think I'm going to come back and be this nice. No, because next time I come back, it'll have numbers, and numbers that may embarrass you. Okay, that's the challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hoadley. Do we have anyone else on your list?
Yes.
Please.
Next on the list is Nicole Fox, Merrimack Gas Station.
Good evening, Ms. Fox.
Hello. So I have 3 children in the school district, and I would like to encourage you to appeal the planning board decision on the gas station, first based on safety. As I'm sure you're aware, there was a gas station at the location for many years, and while it was open, I remember seeing many close calls where the high school students darted across the road in front of vehicles. It was never a good location for a gas station, but it was grandfathered in. Because it was closed so long, that expired. The site is too small for a gas station, which is why it required a conditional use permit. Because of the site and the configuration in a tiny triangle, It requires 2 oversized curb cut driveways across in order for the big trucks to bring in the fuel and for traffic to get in and out. A gas station is the most vehicle intensive land use that you could possibly have in that location. Essentially, anything else you might have would have fewer cars coming in and out. It is literally a land use for cars. Because it also has a convenience store, it also is a draw for students. That section of Warren Street is incredibly busy with rush hour traffic, but then at school pickup and drop off in the morning in particular, it's especially dangerous. That's also a really great time to go pick up that coffee at the convenience store across the street. So it's a really bad location. It's not a good use for this property. It's going to increase danger for the students. As mentioned before, when it was open, you had to have teachers manning the crosswalk there. There is no, does the district want to pay for another crossing guard at that location? I think it's really, it's a significant safety issue for students. That is essentially my request. The property could support other businesses. The planning board did not consider any alternatives. Because they approved another gas station, that is what will be there, but it doesn't mean that that's the only kind of business that could be located on that property. So, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Ms. Fox, would you be comfortable sharing what you do professionally?
Yes, I'm a transportation engineer, and I specialize in bicycle and pedestrian safety.
thank you. Thank you, Ms. Fox. Thank you, Ms. Messenger, do we have someone?
Sorry, I came prepared. Good evening. Hi, everybody. My name is Ian. Thank you for being here. I feel it necessary to disclose any potential conflicts of interest. That seems to be a hot topic as of late. So, I'm a father of 2, but do not currently have any children enrolled in the Concord School District, being my oldest is only 3 years old. I'm a professional engineer, not involved in traffic in any way, mostly site design. But from time to time, I do present applications in front of the planning board on behalf of my clients. I am also a member of the Transportation Policy Advisory Committee with the city, who advises City Council on matters of transportation policy. My wife is a land use attorney, and she is also a member of the Conservation Commission as part of the city. In addition to that, I am also an involved member of Concord Green Space Coalition, or CG3. With all of that out of the way, I am here on behalf as a concerned resident of the city of Concord. The issue of the gas station should not be allowed to reopen across from the high school. May seem like it may not have that many repercussions, but it is a matter of values. Do we as a school district and as a community value the safe, efficient, free movement of our students, staff, and residents in the neighborhood for the services that they require? Public education, recreation, and safe access to their job? Or do we as a community and a school district value the noisy, polluting, inefficient movement of vehicles and the services they require? The ability to fill their gas tanks. I want to be clear that there are many reasons to oppose any gas station. The climate impact of fossil fuel reliance, the dangers posed by the storage of highly combustible materials within a residential neighborhood. There are also reasons to be in favor of a gas station. But I'm not here to discuss the pros and cons of gas stations. In general, I am here to encourage the school board to petition against the City of Concord's Planning Board's decision to allow the conditional use permit to reopen the gas station. As part of the conditional use permit for the gas station application submitted, the gas station applicant submitted the necessary paperwork. Such applications include traffic studies, responses to the conditional use permit questions, and any other material required. This paperwork, red tape, and bureaucracy is necessary before any application going before the planning board so that citizens and the city itself can view these plans and comment on them prior to the planning board meeting. However, most of this paperwork is completed by professional engineers and lawyers, and because of that, it is almost incomprehensible to anyone who isn't experienced in those fields. For this reason, I would like to read and translate some of the experts from the traffic study that was submitted by the gas station as part of their application. Again, this is publicly available traffic study that was submitted on behalf of the applicant as part of their conditional use permit. This is 3 excerpts of the traffic study, and I will do my best. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me and ask, but I'm going to read the jargon and then try to translate as best I can. I am not going to be objective in my translation. Available site distance at the site driveways on Pleasant and Warren Street exceed minimum desirable SSD and ISD requirements for safe operation. That's a good thing. To ensure that sightlines remain unobstructed, it's recommended that proposed plantings, vegetation, landscape, and signing along site driveways be kept low to the ground, no more than 3 feet above street level, or set back sufficiently from Pleasant Street and Warren Street so as not to restrict any available sightlines. No trees. That's what that means. Nothing above 3 feet in height can be placed in the vicinity of the gas station entrances, creating a more hostile environment to pedestrians and cyclists, and reducing any beauty aspects that a tall tree can bring to that intersection. They also stated that under the existing and future traffic volume conditions, the signalized intersection of Pleasant Street, Warren Street, South Fruit Street operates at an overall level of service E during weekday AM peak hours or a level of service D during weekday PM peak hours. With and without the proposed development in place, Fruit Street northbound left turn lane through the Warren Street left turn lane operate along with long delays at a level of service F. That is the lowest level of service you can have during the weekday AM peak hours. With the addition of the proposed development, any increases in delay in the intersection are negligible. Under 2023 conditions, the Warren Street left-hand turn lane is expected to drop from a level of service E to a level of service F during the weekday AM peak hours as a result of the proposed project. This drop in level of service is an increase in delay of 1.3 seconds. However, since the threshold of the level of service E is greater than 80 seconds, the minor increase results in a drop of level of service. Under 2033 conditions, the Warren Street left turn lane is expected to be over capacity during weekday AM peak hours with or without the proposed project in place. If anybody fell asleep, that's understandable. What that says is that intersection is so awful that any increase in traffic by the gas station doesn't matter. It can't get any worse than it already is. As people who work in the education field, I feel that you are aware of the difference between a 50% student and a 15% student. There are levels of failure that need to be recognized here. Lastly, and this is only a select item of the conclusions, although the proposed project is not a major source of pedestrian traffic, the gas station specifically, it is imperative to not only maintain but improve the pedestrian accommodations in the study area accordingly. The pedestrian push button to cross in the southbound direction across Warren Street and Pleasant Street will be repaired, and all pedestrian signal indications will be upgraded to include pedestrian countdowns at the signalized intersections. That says that please ignore any of the traffic conflicts that we're causing by the gas station, because we're going to install countdown timers along with the little walkmen that are there, because nothing says safety like a flashing red LED counting down to 0. But fortunately, Concord is blessed to have an incredible planning and engineering staff working in City Hall who are able to read and translate this jargon, filled application, and the traffic study alongside it into comments that they were provided to the planning board. I would like to read some of the comments that are publicly available and that were presented to the planning board. And I want you to keep in mind, for anybody that was at the planning board that night, the planning board's justification to allow this conditional use permit was to give the gas station a shot.
Okay, you have a little less than a minute, so.
All right, I'll take it down a few. So, The width of the access drive creates concerns for bicycles, pedestrians, as well as other vehicles. Staff would otherwise recommend that these access drives be narrows, but because fuel tank truck access is required, it cannot be. There are several pages of planning documentation, but in addition to the planning board's significant concerns with it, there was also the engineering department that had significant concerns. Their comments on the traffic study is that a traffic analysis of both entrances would be blocked by queuing vehicles in all directions. This application presents very clear challenges that have not been adequately addressed.
Okay, I gotta cut you off there, but please feel free to submit all of that in writing to the board, and we will read it. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I would like to address some of the questions that were raised earlier, but I don't feel that I have the ability to.
Okay, thank you.
That was very useful information.
Ms. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you very much. Ms. Ettinger, do we have anybody else for? I'm sorry, what?
Can she give me her 5 minutes?
No, I don't believe we can do that. We're limited to 5 minutes. This isn't like, I think, C-SPAN. So, sorry. However, you know, if there is time at the end of the meeting, after everyone else has spoken, on a topic of anything, I think you can talk about it then. Go ahead, Ms. Cooley.
Hello, my name is Meredith Cooley. I'm a Concord resident. Thank you for your service. Appreciate it. And thank you for letting us speak on, I'm going to be speaking about the gas station as well. I agree with everything that you've just heard from Ms. Fox and Mr. McGregor. But I wanted to add a few other points. I will say that I was at that planning board meeting, and I'm not a transportation expert and, or engineer, and it was just pretty shocking to see the planning board disregard the school district's statement, disregard the planning board's report and concerns, and then sort of disregard, or straight up disregard, all of the community who came out to speak in about their concerns about public safety, all because it seemed like they were concerned about the currently abandoned gas station staying a abandoned gas station and not being used. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if the planning board does not approve, if they were to not have approved the gas station, then a gas station could not go in at that site. And as the city planner said, gas station is the most car-centric use of that site, so the worst because of this, as you've already heard, the dangerous situation there. About any other use could be bakery, she said a skateboard shop, a coffee shop, a cafe, any other use would be far less dangerous than a car-centric use like a gas station. So if the gas station was to be not approved, any other use could go in as long as it was within the zoning for that site. I think that was a question too, so I just wanted to say that. I have two major concerns on top of what has already been said tonight. And number one, so I'm just going to read this. If the planning board is concerned about the blighted appearance of the gas station, I think it's important that perhaps they might consider why this property fell into blight in the first place, and therefore why replacing the gas station convenience store with the same type of business establishment will produce anything but exactly the same result. There is a 6-pump gas station and much larger and better maintained convenience store across the intersection. Replacing a 2-pump gas station with a poorly kept convenience store will result again in business failure, and thus we will be discussing blight again in the near future. Let's make this a one and done discussion. And then number two, I'm putting my community health nurse hat on here. There are no safe benzene levels. The World Health Organization, or WHO, the WHO statement on benzene reports that the risks of chronic inhalation exposure at levels above 1,000 parts per billion include high lifetime cancer risks, bone marrow toxicity, impaired immune function, and neurological effects. At lower levels, the risks remain. The WHO also reports that children are at higher risk from the chronic exposure. The EPA recommends that when planning school sites, school authorities examine gas stations within 1,000 feet and look for ways to mitigate intrusive vapors of volatile organic compounds, VOCs, air pollution, and groundwater contamination potential. The Gulf Station across from the high school has pumps that are 173 to 715 feet from the building's closest and further points respectively, using the GMAP pedometer. A 2018 study showed significantly higher by a factor of 10 than previously understood VOC concentrations from vent pipes at gas stations, constituting both a health risk and also not taken into account in most setback regulations. And finally, a 2021 modeling study suggests that the risk of leukemia around high-volume gas stations increases linearly with the amount of gas dispensed. So we already have 6 pumps at the existing gas station, so adding 2 more pumps increases the risks to all those students who are at the high school. I think that that's that compiled with the public safety issue, pedestrian safety issue, is enough to put a real pause on the planning board decision, and I strongly urge you to appeal at the Superior Court no later than March 17th. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Cooley, and your excellent use of exactly 5 minutes, Brad. Do we have anyone else?
I don't have anyone else listed.
Does anyone else have a comment on an agenda item only? All right, thank you. Not seeing any, we will move on with the meeting. Thank you all. Thank you those who came and made the comments. We appreciate that. All right, with that, we will go back to the approval of the treasurer nomination. I believe that the nomination has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Go ahead, Mr. Weinberg.
So, just for folks who might not be aware of what the treasurer of the school district does, the appointed position, could you just describe it?
I think Mr. Croto, who was the treasurer, or Mr. Dunn, who is our business administrator, could do an even better job than I. So, Jack, you want to take a quick stab to explain it? That's a great question.
Yeah, the treasurer and I try to meet quarterly and go over what the finances are, similar to what we do with you, and see where things are, talk about the tax rate, and review some stuff that's a little deeper than what we do at this level. So, that's it. Very broad.
Jack treasurer also gets involved in any of the bonding questions that come up as well, if you just want to touch that.
When we go to do a bond, I need to get the treasurer's signature as well as the clerk for the district as well.
Thank you. Mr. Croto, do you have anything to add, or did he just do a pretty good job?
No, I don't. It's a pleasure meeting with Jack Dunn anytime, and so that job for me was just a pleasure to do, but this is better.
Thank you, Mr. Croto. Thank you, Mr. Weinberg, for the question. Is there any other discussion with regards to the motion? Not seeing any. All those in favor of the nomination and motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? We will let Mr. Cogswell know that he is the treasurer. Thank you very much. Now we will move on to the motion with regards to appealing the gas station property adjacent to the high school. Is there any further discussion on that? Go ahead, Mr. Croto.
So I'm just sitting here thinking about this, and I've got the devil and the angel on either shoulder. In terms of cost, I wonder if we could possibly get some sort of an idea of cost for this appeal. I'm sitting here thinking that I want to do this. I would encourage the board to do it, especially based on the nice testimony that we've had just now. But I'm also cognizant of the fact that Mr. Weinberger made it known earlier that he'd rather have the money go in a different educational way. But if we could, we do have a little bit of time. If we could get some sort of a target figure of what this appeal would cost, and whether or not it would be a finite cost. I don't want to get into a long legal battle that, well, I don't, but maybe others do. But those are the answers I'd like to have. And we have 2 more meetings coming up next week, as well as one coming up on Wednesday. So we could, I don't know if that's possible to get that information by then, but,
Yeah, I don't see why we can't get you some general information. What do you have to file the appeal by? What was it, March?
17th.
March 17th. So I'm just
So
wondering
we
if
need
we
to have
could,
something for Wednesday for you.
I mean, that's my,
We'll take a crack at it. Yeah, it's like that. There's always
you know,
tomorrow. right?
that's my thought, and certainly, the board can speak as a board.
Well, I'm somewhat hearing a tabling motion there, but we'll wait and let you decide on that. Mr. Cotton?
I would just mention that, yes, there will be a cost involved. It can be a finite cost because we can always drop things anytime we want to drop things. I think, again, there's cost involved on the other side, and I don't want to, make things more difficult for the city necessarily either. I think the way I would honestly like to see this go is for us to make an appeal, file the appeal, hopefully have some settlement discussions and things get taken care of that way. It's not necessarily true that you have to litigate everything all the way through. And I just would point that out to people who are concerned with the cost, because I too am concerned with the cost. But I think in this case, the other two things I would mention, it wouldn't have gone to the planning board unless it had to go to the planning board. It was a grandfathered use, as was pointed out earlier. Once it closed down, they lost the ability to just reopen it again after a year. So it did have to go to the planning board. And the other thing I'd point out is the planning staff was not in favor of this. So it's not entirely clear why the planning board chose to do what they did. But anyway, to Mr. Croto's point, I think, we do have control over this.
Okay. Ms. Meeker?
I am in favor of tabling this if the administration feels that they can provide information quickly, because I am interested in appealing. I'm worried that we're going to agree to something tonight that might not be feasible because we don't have, we don't know if we have a lawyer, someone to represent us in this yet. We don't know what the cost may be. So I feel like we're all leaning in the direction of the appeal. I'm just wondering if there's more information to be had before we make the decision.
Go ahead, Mr. Weinberg.
I feel like I'm going full circle now, but we heard from a student tonight kind of their concerns. We heard Sophia's concerns, and I think if we go back to what this is about, it's about the students. And so I am kind of with Mr. Cotton. I think I'm for moving forward with the appeal.
Go ahead, Ms. Walsh.
I'm very concerned that the city's planning and engineering staff recommended against this, and the planning board moved forward, and I respect the fact that our school administration has concerns with it as well. I, too, would like to see us go forward. I, however, agree with Mr. Croto and Ms. Meeker that we should wait until Wednesday to make sure we can get counsel and we have some understanding of what we're potentially getting into before we take a final vote.
I would just say that I'm absolutely fine with that.
So we could make a motion, someone could make a motion to postpone or a motion to table, either one of which I think would apply in this particular case.
Can I
But
ask a clarifying question first?
Okay.
Our next public meeting does allow us to bring this up into conversation for a vote, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So,
I'll make a motion to postpone the vote until this coming Wednesday, March
8th.
Second.
Okay, motion is made by Mr. Weinberg and seconded by Mr. Cotton. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay, the motion is postponed until Wednesday. Thank you. With that, we go into, we passed over we've eliminated the finance report, so we go into personnel. Superintendent, do you have a personnel issue or anything you want to bring
I'm
forward?
going to pass that on to Michelle to do for us tonight.
Good
Okay.
evening. I'm bringing forward one winter coach nomination for Runlet Middle School. It is an additional or supplemental cross-country skiing assistant coach. It was brought up by Mr. Mello due to the number of athletes participating in the program and the fact that they have varying abilities, so it's harder to supervise them when they're on different areas in the mountain. So we're bringing forward an additional assistant coach for skiing.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Is this person already working?
They are.
Okay. I was thinking
Because
cross
we're running out of
country,
time.
despite the snow.
So,
Correct.
We're coming to the end of the season.
yes, is there a motion to approve or to bring forward this as for approval? Moved by Ms. Higgins. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Robinson. Is there any questions or discussion from the board? Not seeing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Karen. Please move on.
And we do have a spring coach nomination for a girls lacrosse at Runlet Middle School, Alyssa Giannotti. This is a new position.
Okay. Does anyone care to make a motion to approve
So
the
moved.
spring?
Second.
All right, moved by Ms. Walsh and seconded by Mr. Weinberg. Is there any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? The nomination passes. Do we have anything else from the?
I do not.
Okay, thank you very much. Having concluded personnel, we will go into reports from subcommittees. First, Anti-Racism Equity Subcommittee. Who will be taking that one? Superintendent?
Yeah, thank you. We're ready to kick off our first equity advisory meeting. We have a meeting scheduled for March 16th at 3 o'clock. And we have students, staff, administrators, community folks all participating. We also have 2 board members who will be on this equity advisory. It's kind of a reboot, if you will. We worked for 2.5 years together. We knew we needed to step back, reflect on our work. What have we accomplished, and where do we want to go? So we've done that with the help of our New Hampshire Listens out of UNH, and also now with Quincy on board, our DEIJ director. Quincy will be helping to facilitate these meetings. So we're looking forward to it, March 16th in the afternoon at the schools, and we're moving forward with that initiative.
Excellent. Anything else from the board members this time? Okay, very good. Let's move on to Sustainability Committee. Mr. Weinberg, are you taking this one?
Yeah, I don't have too many updates because I unfortunately was unable to attend the last City Environmental Sustainability Advisory. But I think as we continue the middle school project, always good to keep in mind how we can make the school net zero and net surplus.
Thank you, Mr. Weinberg. Does anybody have any questions with regards to that report? All right, very good. We move on to item number 11, other business. Superintendent, are you taking this one for the monthly enrollment?
Yeah, I will just take a quick look at it on page 30 of your packet and 31. This is the enrollment reports for March. You can see the numbers have stayed pretty steady. We haven't seen any significant changes. Again, the one change that shows up from the beginning of the year, from this October, I always use October because that's a good month when we're doing our enrollment. We see an increase of 12 more students in the preschool. So, we've talked about that, and that's one of the greatest impact. Those are our 3- and 4-year-olds that we are recommended to us, referred to us, or through Child Find, that we have an obligation to provide services should they need it. So, really, that's really the only other place we've seen a decrease from October at the middle school also. But other than that, we're pretty much steady.
All right. Is there any questions? Go ahead, Mr. Cock.
I was just wondering why we don't have the high school totals for February and March.
They're on page 30. It looks like we didn't carry them over to 31.
Oh, okay.
So we can fix that.
Oh, I just noticed that, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, they are up on the top.
Thank you, Mr. Codden. Any other questions? All right, not seeing anything. Let's move on to proposed calendar of meetings, item number 12.
I think you'll find that on page 32 and 33 in March, and this week you have, obviously tonight is taken care of, but on the 8th you have a budget meeting. We talked about it earlier, transportation, food service, and SAU staff, which we will review. At 5 o'clock, right before your budget meeting, there is a negotiations meeting. We continue to negotiate with our paraprofessional association, so we will have some updates, hopefully for you at that meeting on Wednesday of this week. The following week, we do have a budget open session. We think we're going to need that to catch up and kind of, especially since we have a good direction from you tonight. I think between Wednesday and Monday, we'll use that open session, followed by an instructional committee meeting. We haven't had one, and there's a lot of issues that people want to get to the committee, so they would like to meet on the 13th. Again, another meeting. I think this meeting on Wednesday, the 15th, is important. If you note it, it's the enrollment report from the Career and Technical Center, as well as the high school. Now, you know what that means? That means that the students have signed up for all their classes. Is that right, Sophia? Have you signed up? Good. And students have selected the course, the pathways they'd like to take at the Career and Technical Center. And we also know what the students will be from our 9 sending schools. So they've all selected their courses. You'll be able to see that because you want to see what the enrollments are and how that looks as it relates to classes. Is the enrollment appropriate? Is there too many in one class? Is there not enough in another class? So you'll have a chance to review that. And certainly that has budget implication, and that's why we do it at this time. Following week, executive committee, which will be followed by the public hearing. That week of the 20th of March, you have 2 meetings, 2 public hearings, one here at the SAU office starting at 6, and the second out at Millbrook starting at 6. The first one is televised live. The second one will be recorded and played. And Josh is awesome. He gets it right up after the meeting, so folks will have a chance to see any discussion. Followed by another open session, and that open session is really to reflect on all the comments that you get at the hearing from your constituents around their thoughts around budget. And that session will be here at the office. And as Jack reminded you, on the 29th, you have to take a vote on a draft budget to be posted for the community to see. Doesn't mean it's the final budget, but it's a place for discussions, and so you'll need to have that available, that time available on the 29th. April, we get back to your regular routines in April. The budget you'll have a reprieve from the budget, and school board meeting on the 3rd. Capital facilities, which we absolutely need to get back talking about. We want to see where we are in terms of budgets from the state, where school building aid lands. We had several bills before the House regarding school building aid, which at that point we will know crossover. By then, we're close, the 5th. I'm looking
around there.
Close for crossover. So we'll know where we stand with any of the legislation around school building aid. The following week, policy committee will be back on track, looking at policies and new policies, or any, there are a few sort of in the chute, ready to be looked at by the committee. Again, another negotiations, depending on our progress with the para association, the educational associates, followed by a finance committee. And then the week before April vacation, I can't believe we just finished February vacation and I'm talking about April, but you have a couple meetings that week, executive committee, city and community relations, and instructional committee. So you'll be back on your routine of Monday, Wednesday. Lots of activities going on, though. It's nice that we have some time. There'll be plays at the high school. We heard about the talent show, so we all like to get out to some of those events. Lots of concerts and performances by the students, so it's nice to get back on that schedule.
Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent. Are there any comments or questions with regards to the calendar? Go ahead, Ms. Hastings.
Will central office administrators be putting on any talents at the talent show?
Well, we'll discuss that at our central office meeting. We have
Sounds
it on
good.
Monday.
Look forward to it.
Yeah.
I will add only one thing, and I will say that I just want to remind everyone that in addition to the budget hearings on March 20th and 22nd, anyone can submit their comments on the budget. If you don't want to attend that meeting, please feel free to email them. They are distributed among the board, and we all receive them. And that actually applies to this meeting as well, and any of our public meetings, comment questions, you may email the board. They are all distributed to us if you don't want to make a personal public comment. So that being said, we will come to our second public comment period. I don't really need to read that whole public comment thing again. You all heard about it. If someone has a question, please feel free to make that inquiry. I'm going to ask for the show of hands again. How many people are interested in making a comment this evening?
If you have not signed up, if you don't mind coming forward, I'm showing 9 on our list right now.
All right. Taking a look at that number and given the 30 minutes, I'm going to make this a 3-minute comment period. We will time everyone, and everyone will equally get 3 minutes. As I said before, please keep personally identifiable items, with the exception of the board, out of it. And let's start as soon as we can.
Hi. Thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Sharon Reichert. I am a teacher at Krista McAuliffe Elementary School and also a parent of 2 Concord School District students. I'm actually here tonight to read a statement on behalf of one of my colleagues. He asked if I would read it on his behalf. He is with his wife currently, and so I told him that I would do so. So it does have his name in it and such, but it was he was asking permission.
Proceed since he granted permission. I think I know what this is about.
Yeah. So my name is Ernest Rowe. I would like to say a few things regarding my wife, Christine Holliday Rowe, a kindergarten teacher at Krista McAuliffe School. Last month, something strange happened on the CMS Facebook page. A year-old photo of Mrs. Holliday, dressed up in a skirt, wig, and roller skates for Wacky Wednesday, was the target of organized negative attack comments, originating from an extremist Facebook group that shall remain nameless. I learned that the group took exception with the rainbow on her face mask, as they deemed it evidence of some kind of agenda to indoctrinate children. Needless to say, I was furious. However, when Mrs. Holliday learned about the negative comments, she did not react whatsoever. She dismissed them immediately and went on with her day. I think there's a lesson to be learned here, so please allow me to share with you some information about Mrs. Holliday. She has 2 great loves in her life, the first being her family, and the second being Krista McAuliffe School and all the people in it. Nobody is ever more excited on the first day of school than Mrs. Holliday. She gives her students unconditional love and support. She fosters an environment in which her students not only learn their academics, but feel safe, comfortable, seen, and heard. Her students learn that school is a joyful place to be. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Mrs. Holliday arranged to meet her class at the park where they could have socially distant in-person lessons, celebrations, and gatherings together. She delivered food and supplies to students' families who were sick or in need of support. Every year, she created a small family with her students, and her heart always ached when the year ended and it was time to send them to first grade. In December 2021, Mrs. Holliday was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer, and a doctor estimated that she had 3 months to live. But instead, she continued working in her kindergarten classroom all the way until February 2023, when her symptoms required her to enter the hospital. Mrs. Holliday is not a particularly political person, and her only agenda is to live her life with love, acceptance, and generosity. Let her life's work be a reminder that cruelty, hatred, and spite are not virtuous or admirable qualities, partly because you never know exactly who you might hurt. Consider living life to the fullest like Mrs. Holliday, and you never know exactly who you might help, heal, or inspire. That is the Christine Holliday Rowe way, and that is her legacy. Thank you.
Ms. Edinger, who do we have next?
Mr. Guglielmo?
Mr. Guglielmo?
So, with respect to that, I took my son, 5 years old, off of life support, who died from blood cancer. I am Caesar, Julius Caesar of Rome, the emperor. I am also a female. Does anybody here believe that I am Julius Caesar? Anybody believe that? No? Of course not. It's ridiculous. I'm not Caesar. I'm not a woman either. I'm here as a father who loves his children, who loves his country. And I'm here to talk about this duty of a school board and the Department of Education. Your duty is to act in the best interest of children. It is to teach truth, not lies, facts, not fiction, biology, not a social agenda. As taxpayers, we deserve to have our children taught what we pay for, and it's not anyone's social agenda, whether it be right or left. It's about the children. It's about the children. And that's what we all love, and these children that are born into our custody, we have a duty to protect them. And we have a duty to nurture them to their own self-actualization when they can declare whatever sexuality they want to be. And we will love them, no matter what it be. Doesn't matter. But engaging and facilitating gender confusion, gender dysphoria, is developmentally injurious to the mental and emotional capacities of children, especially elementary school students. So I'm here to call for the suspension of Murphy and the suspension of Principal Gallo for facilitating gender confusion and gender dysphoria in the Christoph McAuliffe Elementary School. I'd also like you to resign your seat for facilitating it as well. And I want you all to know you're all going to be famous. Now, with respect to the audience, I love that love. I give that love back. You know what I love? I love my children. I love my country. I love life, liberty, and happiness for all. That's what I love, okay? And if we can't get on board with that, we ain't going to have a country. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Guglielmo, for your comments. Ms. Edinger, who do we have next?
Miss West?
Ms. West?
Hi. Nice to see you. My name is Kate West. Some of you might know me. I'm here today to publicly denounce bigotry and hate speech within our community and more specifically within the Concord School District. I want to make it clear that it is your duty to protect both our children and staff members from violence when they are in your care. Weaponizing a person's gender identity in order to criminalize and vilify them is an act of violence. I'm a parent of a student at CMS who does not fit the societal script of the gender binary or heteronormativity. They were not convinced of becoming this person due to some outward force being thrust upon them by adults. In fact, they are this person, their authentic self, in spite of the constant bombardment of messaging explicitly telling them not to be. I am endlessly proud of my child for being brave enough to begin the school year staying true to who they are in the face of rejection and hatred, and for teaching me how to be brave too. One of the ways I help to foster that bravery is to ensure that my child is surrounded by all types of people with varying experiences, identities, and lifestyles. Unfortunately, this story does not have a happy ending. It is within the school community at CMS that my child reluctantly decided to no longer present as their true self at school and instead to choose the path that allowed for more friends and more acceptance from both students and staff. an inauthentic experience for the purpose of survival. This is a different type of brave, and it is still brave. I am endlessly proud of my child for choosing this type of brave too, and my heart hurts for them. For the culture in our schools to be welcoming and inclusive to all, it is important that we not only encourage our staff and students to show up as their authentic selves, but that when they do, we support them and we protect them. I am calling on this board to unequivocally denounce transphobia and homophobia in our district, and to be intentional and proactive about creating policies and cultural practices that make it very clear to our LGBTQ+ staff and students that they are loved and that they are safe here. It is not enough to welcome everyone. We must stand up against those that seek to hurt others. I will leave you with this quote attributed to Adam Bates. "You can say all are welcome, but if wolves and sheep are both welcome, then you're only going to get wolves. The smart sheep will go somewhere else, and the naive sheep will be eaten and processed. If you welcome Islamophobes and Muslims, then you'll get Islamophobes. If you welcome Klan members and people of color, then you'll get Klan members. If you welcome nativists and immigrants, then you'll get nativists. Refusing to choose is a choice. It's a choice in favor of the people who prey on others and who refuse to acknowledge the humanity of those they hate."
I have to cut you off there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who do we have next?
Ms. Campbell's on her way. Can we come back to her?
Sure. Tim Sweeney.
I have several copies of many of our statements to pass around for you. Thank you. My name is Tim Sweeney Finelli. My daughter is a 5th grader at Christa McAuliffe School, and I wanted to start by reading you an excerpt of an email that I wrote to my daughter's teachers on the last day of 1st grade 4 years ago, which was her first year at Christa McAuliffe School. It says, "It's almost impossible to look at my daughter today and see the timid, quiet little girl who first walked into your classrooms. She would hide behind her own shirt." I'm going to tear up while I read this. "She would hide behind her own shirt and meow in response to even the simplest questions. Getting her to speak louder than a church mouse was a challenge. Social situations baffled her. She's always stayed to the back of the crowd, never spoke her mind, and preferred strongly to stay out of the way of the other children. By contrast, today, she's confident in herself and her abilities. She enjoys leading the charge in play as much as she enjoys playing along and almost never shies away from a group. She speaks her mind and expresses her ideas. It's plain to see the confidence and ability she's gained under your care. You've made CMS feel like home, and I can't describe how much that has meant to us, nor what an impact you've had on her. You brought normalcy, safety, structure, and loving care into her world after a tumultuous time for our family, and helped her become the girl you're seeing off into 2nd grade today. I share that with you because my daughter was allowed to grow and flourish at Christa McAuliffe School. She learned confidence and self-respect because she's surrounded by people who love her both at home and in the classroom, where she sees herself reflected in her teachers. She enjoys the privilege of knowing that no matter where she is, she's safe, happy, and belongs, a privilege that all of our students and educators alike deserve. Over the past month, we've endured relentless and hateful attacks against LGBTQ+ members of our community. In response, several of you have made individual statements alluding to confidentiality when dealing with personnel matters, and I understand and respect that. But this is not about any one teacher nor any one parent or the administrative process that followed. It's about the values and character of our school and our community. As a board, you responded unanimously by reaffirming your commitment to value diversity, individualism, and inclusion, but that is not enough. You must label hate speech as hate speech and assert forcefully that it will not be tolerated. The words you are not saying send the message that some of us matter less, that some of us don't belong, and that some of us are not entitled to the same care, comfort, safety, and sense of self-worth that CMS instilled in my child, and that's unacceptable. At Christa McAuliffe School, we teach our children to be caring, motivated, and safe, values chosen in honor of our namesake. As members of this board, you are representatives and leaders within the community that she helped define, a community I've been proud to be a part of, and one I've repeatedly called family for its role in helping to raise my child. So I'm calling on you, each of you as individuals and together as a board, to proclaim in no uncertain terms that as members of this family and of this community, Christa McAuliffe's community, we denounce hate in all of its forms and welcome everyone exactly as they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ms. Edinger, who do we have?
Sorry, seems to be getting off topic, but I just wanted to say to all of you, I hope you noticed it's Youth Art Month, and we have all of their beautiful artwork on the walls and in the boardroom. We'd love to get back to that. It was something we fell away from during COVID, so it's just nice to be able to share that, have you guys see what they're doing. I also just want to give you a personal invitation. We're having an art show at the Kimball Jenkins Art School in Concord here, and it will feature all the kids from kindergarten through 12th grade. And it will also feature works from our teachers. So you're really going to get to see a breadth of work and the development of our kids over time, the way that the programming works from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, the growth, the similarities, the differences. It ends up being a really beautiful thing. The show is up now. If you're interested in seeing it during the Kimball Jenkins open hours, everyone is welcome. They can also, community members, you can call Kimball Jenkins and set up a special time to view the show if you can't make it during regular hours. And we invite everyone to our opening on Thursday night from 5 to 6:30. Secondly, I just wanted to thank you all. I know it's been budget season. It's been a lot of hard work. And you all, the board, I know you work tirelessly and that you do this because you love the kids, you love education, you love the teachers, and you really want this community to thrive. And you do it for such a small stipend. It's like a volunteer job. And a lot of times what you get in return for that is a lot of criticism and hurtful statements. I just want to say I appreciate all of you. I've been here 25 years teaching, and thank you all for serving.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation to the art show. I just want to thank you for the invitation to the art show. I am a long-time attendee of the art show.
And so at Kimball Jenkins instead of the mall, it's going to be awesome. Better food, too, I think. They're actually giving us a budget.
Ms. Edinger, who do we have next?
Ms. Campbell.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Hello. My name is
Can you speak into the microphone?
I sure can.
Actually,
Thank you.
because we're on.
You're teaching me the ways. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Then they can hear you on TV.
You got it. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jessica Campbell. I am a parent of a student at CMS, and I believe that our differences should not separate us from each other, but rather they should reinforce a collective strength that can benefit us all. I am here today because I am saddened, disheartened, and discouraged by the hateful rhetoric we have heard about some of our faculty and staff because of their own choice of expression. I have lived in New Hampshire for only 3 years, but I can't tell you how proud I am to live here, how much I love this state, how much I love this community. And I remember the precise moment where I realized how fortunate I was to live in this incredible community. It was the day after I had the opportunity to drive from Guilford to Keene. During this drive, I saw so many beautiful things. I saw this beautiful state, the snow, the sky. I was in awe, and I felt so fortunate to call this place my home. I went to bed with such a grateful heart and woke up the next day still filled with my appreciation of all this area has to offer. You see, I had reservations of moving to New Hampshire. I'm from New Jersey. Not a lot of diversity up here, I heard. I'm going to raise my kid here, and everyone's going to look like her, and I don't want her to be around people who all look and sound and think like her. I want her to be exposed to all the beautiful voices and opinions and perspective that this world has to offer. So that morning, woke up with this grateful heart of New Hampshire. I brought my kid to school, and there was this beautiful, confident man filled with warmth and love welcoming the students to school that day. That was Silas.
I have to ask you not to say any reference to any
You got it.
to names or
Will do.
identifying viable
Absolutely.
items.
Absolutely.
I will declare you out of order.
Absolutely. I
Okay.
apologize. They were laughing, smiling, pure joy as I met this warm teacher welcoming their day. I was so happy for our future, seeing all these wonderful people together. I saw kids from BIPOC families, kids from different economic backgrounds, teachers with visible differences, neighbors with different political beliefs, and they were all engaged in conversing with each other in a peaceful, loving, warm manner. I was so proud. I was so proud to be a member of this community. Yet here I am today, in this room, on my break, with many of us stepping forward expressing how passionate we feel about letting our faculty and staff be their authentic selves at CMS. And it troubles me that we're here even having these conversations. When word got to me about some of the speech that was being instigated, I just couldn't believe this was us. And for those with different opinions than us, it's okay. We don't care what you wear, what you say, what you do. We love
I'm sorry,
everybody in
we
this
only have
community.
3 minutes, so I'm
Am I
going to
off?
have to end you there.
Yep.
But you may feel free to submit
I
your
can.
written statements to the
Absolutely.
board.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everybody.
No, thank you, Ms. Campbell. Ms. Ettinger, who do we have next? And I will remind everyone that we are not, I'm not permitting anyone to use any identifiable information with regards to teachers or students. So, who's next?
I have Therese, and I apologize, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Therese B? That's correct. Thank you, Therese.
So I am so grieved that this is even the narrative here tonight, because this has nothing to do with gender, has nothing to do with hate, has nothing to do with not loving people, has nothing to do with that. What this has to do with is a father who raised his hand and said, I have a concern here, and then being retaliated and stifled and told, and actually greatly retaliated in an effort to simply say, maybe we need to take a look at something. There's 24 posts that glamorize sexual assault. My daughter was good friends with the victim of Louis. This school district has already gone through where someone raised their hand and had a concern, and it was buried. And instead of being transparent and telling the families that we need to investigate something, instead a memo went out demonizing the father as a danger and making every parent and every child at that school fearful. And everyone in this room buying into a narrative that this is about hating diversity. That is not what this is about at all. If this individual is heterosexual and a coach, my question to Ms. Murphy was, do we vet and do we look at these individuals before we hire them and have them work with our children? Because if I was hiring a babysitter and I looked at their social media and I saw that they were laughing at sexual assault and harming another human being, I can tell you that I would not hire them to babysit my 7 and 8-year-old little boy. What we saw was the school district not informing parents as to this father's concern, and said we saw a narrative that's caused all of this sadness here in this room. The thought that we would pick a teacher who's going through an oncology diagnosis. That was not it at all. We were simply posting the patch article to make the parents aware. Because what the parents were being informed of was that the father was a danger. They weren't being made aware of what was publicly known in a public space. When I asked Superintendent Murphy, do we look at the social media before we hire people to work with our children? Her answer on video was, no, we do not. How is that possible after we went through the Louis and the Howie thing? I don't think there's a single person in this room that doesn't want our children to be safe. And I don't care if it's a heterosexual soccer coach. I don't care who it is. If they're out on social media and what we heard was, oh, that was when the person was 17. No, it wasn't. It was when they were 20. And it was when they were deciding to get their education to be an educator with small children.
I have to end you now because we're at 3 minutes. But thank you, and you may
Thank you for
feel,
your time.
you may feel free to submit any written
And I'm happy to
comments.
talk to anyone that's here to try and bridge the gap, because the narrative of us not wanting diversity is not the narrative.
Have to end your spiel. Thank you.
Not this school district. Actually, I am.
does it make?
I live on Oak
Your
Hill
time's
Road, and I pay property taxes to both. My daughter went to Runlet, and my daughter went to Concord.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who do we have next, Ms. Ettinger? Oh, I'm sorry. Can can we have respect for everyone, including the speakers coming up, and just keep quiet? Everybody's done a great job. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask you to just allow these folks to have their speech as well. Please, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Reagan, Reagan Bissonette, and this is my husband, Gilles Bissonette. We live here in Ward 5, and we are here tonight as parents of a first grade student who attends Krista McAuliffe School and has a fantastic teacher.
This teacher has been targeted by a CMS parent for the way he dresses. We're here tonight to share strong support for this teacher and ask that the district take all steps necessary to ensure that this teacher can immediately return to teaching at CMS, where he will continue to enrich the lives of the students there. As our son occasionally wears dresses to school, this issue has a direct impact on our family.
We are delighted that our son has this teacher as a role model at CMS. On every occasion, we've had the opportunity to meet this teacher in person. He's shown himself to be an engaging and caring educator. Our son enthusiastically shows us the projects he works on in this teacher's class and loves having him as a teacher. In fact, our son was very proud to make this sign on his own for this evening. Until recently, we were not aware that this teacher sometimes wore dresses. This detail has no bearing whatsoever on his qualifications as a teacher at CMS. To the extent the district is considering a new dress code policy for teachers and educators, we disagree with any such potential approach as an unnecessary distraction. While we appreciate the board's recent reaffirmation of its diversity, individualism, and inclusion policy in the district, we're asking you to take additional steps to support all of Concord's LGBTQ students, educators, and teachers.
And to conclude, we urge the district to promptly dismiss these baseless complaints so this teacher can get back to doing what he does best, educating Concord's children. We understand that when a district receives credible complaints, that it needs to take them seriously. But there is a profound difference between credible complaints and baseless complaints like those received here. And frankly, it is wildly inappropriate, in my view, to conflate this with a Howie Long situation. And this issue is much bigger than this teacher. For every day this teacher is unable to teach, feeling safe and welcome in this district, we as a community, we're sending a message to our LGBTQ plus teachers, educators, and students that they also aren't safe and welcome. And we know Concord could do better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Edinger?
Thank you, board members. As a parent of 2 kids who attend Krista McAuliffe School, I'm here to tell you what you hopefully already know, which is that they have great teachers and an amazing principal. I know you're used to having parents come here and complain, but today I have nothing but support for CMS, its teachers and staff. And I'm sorry about getting emotional. I certainly have had my complaints from time to time, but today, like many folks here, I'm here to support a specific teacher who I've had the pleasure of meeting several times. This teacher is always a pleasure to see at the door at drop-off. He greets every child by name with a pleasant greeting. I wish I had that much enthusiasm at 7:30 in the morning. He's well-liked by students, and my kids both enjoy his class. They've brought home beautiful art, and if you ask my 5-year-old daughter right now what she wants to be when she grows up, she wants to be an artist. Sadly, we're really missing that teacher right now. Most of my education growing up took place in private schools. We chose to send our kids to public schools in part because we see value and educational opportunity in the diversity my children experience going to local public school like CMS. This teacher contributes to that diversity, And he's a great example for kids to have the courage to be their true selves, even if it makes them different or stand out. He's one of many amazing teachers and staff at CMS who do so much for kids every day, and I hope they know we parents really appreciate them. I want to be clear that I support all in the LGBTQ+ community and say that gender expression is not a static box that we must put ourselves in. Use me as an example. On any given day, I might wear steel-toed boots, Carhartt work pants, a flannel shirt, and a baseball hat or hard hat to work. And the next day, I wear a dress and high heels. There's nothing wrong with that. That's who I am. And I have the freedom to do that at work. I'm just as much myself in the masculine outfit as the feminine outfit. My kids don't find anything confusing about that. They see me do traditionally masculine things like use chainsaws and power tools, and they see me do traditionally feminine things like baking. Just like I have the freedom to dress butch on one day and dress feminine on the next at work, I think our teachers also deserve the same respect and freedom to be who they are and to feel safe being who they are at work. This whole situation has been a disturbance that our kids and teachers don't deserve, and I sincerely hope that CMS can go back to a more peaceful existence again very soon. I also sincerely hope that the outcome of this is that it becomes clear that diversity is not just tolerated here, it's valued.
Thank you.
Hi, I am the mother of 2 children at CMS, and like other people here, I love my children and I love my country. When I think about the important lessons, the real lessons that I want my kids to learn at school, I have to tell you it's not really about multiplication tables, it's not really about geography, it's about instilling kindness, it is about empathy, it is about learning about open-mindedness and the strength to be who you are. And I think also the strength to respect other people's views and differences, even when you don't agree with them. And I think one of the most important things about teaching that to children is demonstrating that in the school itself. So showing respect, empathy, kindness, open-mindedness, regardless of our differences, regardless of who someone loves, regardless of what they choose to wear, regardless of the color of their skin, whatever it is, I think the school needs to be showing that to teachers and students, because those are the important lessons that I want my children to learn. My children very much miss their teacher, someone who they admire, someone who has really helped my youngest one come out of her shell. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Ettinger, how many more do you have signed up? 4? All right, I'd like to make a motion to extend this public comment period by 15 minutes. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Weinberg. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? We will extend this public comment period 15 minutes. Ms. Ettinger, please call the next person.
London Piper?
First, I'll say I did not plan to speak tonight originally, so I don't have a very nice, eloquent letter written out to express myself with. This is a really uncomfortable situation for me, so bear with me as I go through this. But my motivation is heartfelt, and I stand with all the people behind me that already spoke about acceptance and love and understanding diversity and inclusion and all that comes with it in the whole entire LGBT community, because really what matters is who we are inside. And I wanted to kind of shine a light on another side of what we're talking about. The last woman's touched it a little bit. My daughter goes to CMS. My son went there as well, but he's already moved on to Runlet. She's experienced this teacher that was speaking about tonight that was targeted. And just the fact that they are not in the school right now, she has come home crying because they mean so much to her. They take her aside at the end of the day and allow her to do extra work, and she loves it because that's what she wants to be when she grows up. So just that right there, it's a real personal thing when somebody is affected that much and they're taken out of the school. There are all these students in there. I know my daughter's not the only one. I know that all the students love this teacher. I've met this teacher and they are wonderful. They encourage self-expression and just to explore yourself. And I think that's wonderful. And the other side of this is there's been speak about how can a child of that age really comprehend all of this or have these, type of notions. But my daughter's very best friend is non-binary, and they are a 4th grader. So it's not something that you choose, it's something that you are from birth. And to be allowed to express yourself and be who you truly are, I think is incredible. And CMS has fostered that all these years. Incredible teachers, incredible principal, and I've been really, really happy that my daughter and my son were able to attend the school. And the things that are going on right now hurts me so deeply in my heart because of what the school is supposed to promote and does promote, which is, caring and empathy and loving your neighbors. And that's not what I'm seeing right now from a lot of people in our community, and it hurts. But I did just want to speak to say that I support this teacher, and I know many other people do, and we want our voices heard so that we're all behind them. And thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Hello again, my name is Meredith Cooley, and I have 2 children at CMS, and that was pretty great for not having prepared anything. I just wanted to quickly say my family and I wholeheartedly support the teacher that we're discussing, and we urge you to choose love and not fear. And I support all the speakers who have gone in before me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cooley.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ryan Burke. I live in Ward 5, and I'm a parent of a child at Krista McAuliffe School. And I am here to express my support for CMS teachers and for our broader LGBTQ plus community members within our school. I'm so nervous, sorry. I wanted to take my time speaking tonight to share some love and light from my son's experience at CMS. Between my 2 kids, this is my 6th year as a CMS parent, and I just really wanted to take this opportunity to say that the faculty and staff at CMS are truly wonderful. There is one teacher in particular that I would like to talk to about tonight. During this teacher's first few days at the school, my son came home so excited to tell me about this new, great, funny, and silly new teacher. I could tell he immediately felt a connection to him. Throughout the course of the time my son has been at CMS, I have seen him flourish in his abilities and his understanding of and appreciation for the subject. This teacher's goofiness and passion for teaching makes the subject so fun for the kids. My son has learned so much in his class. His skills have improved, and I'm amazed every week by what he does. Additionally, I have noticed a dramatic improvement in my son's confidence and his abilities. I attribute this to this one teacher's, in particular, his kindness and positive energy. He focuses on building up his students by allowing their creative expression in whatever form that takes. My son talks a lot about this teacher. He talks about what he learns in his classes, but he talks more about how funny he is, how goofy, and how kind he is.
When he talks about this teacher, there is joy in his voice and on his face. This teacher makes the students feel appreciated, loved, and welcomed. He sets a wonderful example of inclusion, acceptance, and being proud of who you are. Teaching these traits by leading through example is the exact thing that our children need more of in their lives. He is a breath of fresh air, a joyful spirit, and a treasure in our school community. I would like to finish by saying that I am extremely nervous, as you can tell, I'm sure. My anxiety over conflict and public speaking in such a forum made it really hard for me to come today. But when I thought about the love and acceptance that this teacher shows to his students every day.
I got to cut you off right there, but thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have anyone else?
Hello, still Nicole Fox. I still have 3 children in the district, one of whom attends Krista McAuliffe. I would like to thank you for the statement on inclusivity that you made, and I sincerely hope that it is backed up by your actions to support all CMS teachers and the administration. I appreciate that the teachers are free to dress in ways that feel authentic to them, and I believe it sets a good example for students. They're able to see that people can be accepted for who they are and not judged based on whether or not they conform. My daughter wrote this about one of her teachers and asked me to read it to you. Every day when I walk into school, my teacher is there smiling and waving to all the kids who walk through the door. It makes me so happy when he smiles and waves to me. During class, he is even better. He goes around to every kid and talks to them for a minute, and it makes my day. He talks to me about my art and all the stuff I have done until that point. All of my classmates and all of my friends that go to CMS are so worried about him. Please be aware that the students of this district are watching what happens with this issue, and they will remember and carry with them the outcome. Will they remember how our community stood together in defense of our beliefs in acceptance and inclusivity, or will they remember how an innocent teacher was harmed by unfounded claims based on the way he dressed? Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comment. Do we have anyone else?
No, that is it.
Does anyone else wish to make a public comment? We still have 6 minutes. Yes. You've already made him a comment. You're only allowed to have the minutes that I can apply equally to everyone else. So I'm sorry, Mr. Guglielmo, but you've already spoken. Is there anyone who hasn't spoken who would like to make a comment? Not seeing any, we will end this public comment period. Thank you all for taking the time to come down and make your comments.